We've got the principles, the laws, and the frameworks. Now we build the thing that actually runs them, a governance program. This module is about turning frameworks on paper into a function that works inside a real organization. Let's start with a distinction that trips up a lot of organizations. Adopting a framework is not the same as having governance. You can buy ISO 42001, print the NIST framework, put both on a shelf, and govern nothing. A framework describes the destination. A program is the engine that gets you there, the people, the roles, the decisions, the day-to-day routines, the evidence. One is a document, the other is an operation. So this module is about the operation, how you build the org chart, the policies, and the artifacts that make all those nice frameworks from the last module actually happen. First decision, your operating model, how governance is distributed across the organization. 3 options. Centralized, one team governs all AI. That gives you consistency, but it can become a bottleneck as AI spreads everywhere. Federated, each business unit governs its own AI within central guardrails. That scales beautifully, but only if your central standards are strong enough to hold the line. And hybrid, central policy and central oversight, with governance owners embedded in each business unit. In practice, most mature programs land on hybrid, because it balances consistency with scale. Pick the model that matches your size, your risk level, and your culture. There's no single right answer, but hybrid is the common destination. AI governance is a team sport, and here's the team. At the top, an executive sponsor, often a chief AI officer, who's accountable. Below that, an AI governance committee, a cross-functional body that makes the decisions. Then model or system owners, each accountable for an individual AI system. And surrounding all of them, the supporting functions: legal, risk, security, privacy, data, ethics, and HR. The reason I keep stressing team is that AI governance reliably fails in 2 situations: when it's one lonely person with a big title and no support, or when it's locked inside a single silo like legal or IT, cut off from the others. It only works when these roles connect. Let's zoom in on the top role. Call it the Chief AI Officer, or whatever your organization calls its accountable AI executive. This person sets the AI strategy and the risk appetite, how much risk the organization is willing to take. They own governance at the board level, they secure the budget, and they are ultimately accountable when something goes wrong. Where they sit varies, sometimes under the CISO, sometimes the Chief Data Officer, the CTO, or the General Counsel. The title and the reporting line are flexible. What's not flexible is the accountability. Without a senior executive who genuinely owns this, governance has no teeth and, just as importantly, no budget. The engine room of the program is the AI Governance Committee. Picture a round table with cross-functional seats: legal, risk, security, privacy, data science, product, HR, ethics, and the business. Its mandate is to review and approve high-risk use cases before they go live, to set policy, to adjudicate the genuinely hard trade-offs, like that fairness choice we saw Helios face, and to oversee the AI inventory and the organization's overall risk posture. The committee exists precisely because the hard questions in AI governance can't be answered by any single function. The lawyer, the data scientist, and the product lead each see part of the picture. The committee is where those perspectives meet and a decision actually gets made. Here's a deceptively simple tool that prevents a lot of failures: a RACI matrix. RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. You lay out your governance activities down one side and your roles across the top, and for each activity you mark who's who. Approving a high-risk use case, the committee is accountable. Running an impact assessment, the model owner is responsible, risk is consulted. Signing off conformity, the Chief AI Officer is accountable. It sounds bureaucratic, but ambiguous ownership is where governance quietly dies. When everyone assumes someone else is handling the risk assessment, no one does. Naming who's accountable for each decision fixes that. Governance has to be written down, and it's written as a layered stack. At the top, the AI policy, your principles and high-level commitments. Below that, an acceptable use policy, concretely, what employees may and may not do with AI tools. Below that, development and procurement standards, how AI gets built and how it gets bought. And at the bottom, detailed procedures and guidelines, the step-by-step. The logic is that each layer makes the one above it actionable. We commit to fairness at the top becomes here's the bias test every model must pass at the bottom. Principles without the lower layers are just aspiration, procedures without the top are just bureaucracy. You need the whole stack. If you build only one thing, build this, the AI inventory, sometimes called the model registry. It's a catalog of every AI system your organization develops, buys, or uses. And it is the single most important artifact in the entire program, for one blunt reason: you cannot govern what you cannot see. You can't assess the risk of a system you don't know exists. You can't prove compliance for AI you haven't cataloged. You can't answer a regulator who asks, "What AI are you running?" if you don't have the list. So the inventory comes first. Everything else in governance operates on top of it. So what goes in each row of that inventory? Enough to triage the risk and prove compliance at a glance. The system name and its owner. Its purpose and intended use. Whether you're the provider or the deployer. The data it uses and how sensitive that data is. Its risk tier, both under the EU AI Act and your own internal scale. Its lifecycle status, in development, in production, retired. When it was last assessed and when it's next due for review. How human oversight is designed in. And its known limitations. With those columns filled in, you can look at any system and immediately know how worried to be, and you've got your evidence base ready for the day a regulator or a customer asks what AI you run. Now the hard reality, and it's the defining program challenge of 2026, Shadow AI. Picture an iceberg. Above the waterline are your approved, registered AI systems, the ones you can see. But below the surface is a much larger mass, employees quietly using ChatGPT, copilots, and dozens of other tools that nobody registered and nobody's governing. Surveys consistently find that organizations have far less visibility into their actual AI use than they believe. Ungoverned AI is the default state, visibility is something you have to deliberately build. The fix is a combination, a clear acceptable use policy that sets the rules, plus an easy intake path so that registering a new AI tool is simpler than hiding it. Make the governed path the path of least resistance. Let's watch Helios build all of this. It chooses a hybrid operating model. It appoints a chief AI officer, sitting under the general counsel. It stands up an AI governance committee that meets monthly. It publishes an AI policy and an acceptable use policy. And then it builds the inventory and immediately gets a wake-up call. It finds 47 distinct AI uses across the company, 9 of which nobody had ever registered. That's Shadow AI, surfaced. And of course, sitting right there in the inventory, flagged high risk, is the hiring tool, now queued for a formal impact assessment. That's day one of real governance: see everything, name the owners, and route the risky systems to assessment. To recap, a framework is not a program. Choose an operating model, often hybrid. Stand up the roles: an executive sponsor or chief AI officer, a cross-functional committee, and per-system owners, with explicit RACI so accountability is never ambiguous. Write the policy stack from principles down to procedures. Build the AI inventory first, because you can't govern what you can't see. And actively hunt your shadow AI. Next, in Module 8, we run the engine that operates on every system in that inventory: AI risk management and impact assessments.